Once upon a time, in a magical kingdom far away, there lived a horse named Sparkle. Sparkle loved to race and gallop all over the kingdom, but one day she discovered something even more important than winning. She discovered the magic of friendship. Sparkle and her friends splashed and played in the cool stream. They laughed as they dove under the water and watched the bubbles float to the surface. It was the perfect way to cool off in the hot sun. As they dried off, they knew that they were stronger together than they could ever be alone. Sparkle and her friends turned back, hoping to find a new path. They searched high and low, but every way seemed blocked. Just as they were about to give up, a friendly bird flew overhead, showing them the way to a beautiful field of wildflowers. They thanked the bird and continued on their adventure. Sparkle and her friends followed the butterflies, who danced and twirled through the woods. They led the group to a clearing where a wise old owl sat waiting. He offered them guidance, revealing a path that they had never seen before. Together, they happily continued on their way. Sparkle and her friends retraced their steps, searching for a new path. Suddenly, a rainbow appeared in the sky, leading them to a hidden trail. They followed it through the woods, eventually emerging into a beautiful meadow. There, they discovered a new friend who joined them on their adventure. Undeterred by the looming darkness, Sparkle and her friends found a source of light and forged ahead. They discovered glittering gems, underground rivers, and winding tunnels filled with mysterious creatures. They realized together that no danger was too great if they faced it together. Sparkle and her friends continued on through the night, hoping to find new adventures. As the moon rose high in the sky, they stumbled upon a castle. Excited for new friends, they entered and were greeted by a kind and wise queen. She had a special task for them. Sparkle and her friends put their minds together and began to construct the bridge. It was hard work, but they persevered. As they neared completion, they noticed that their bridge was not only connecting two lands, but two groups of previously divided creatures. The power of friendship had prevailed once again. Sparkle and her friends politely declined the invitation, opting to continue on their adventure. After some time, they found themselves on a beach. They met some new friends and built sandcastles, and as they watched the sun begin to set, they realized that sometimes the greatest adventures are the ones we create for ourselves. Sparkle and her friends built a cozy shelter out of leaves and branches. As they waited, they told stories and played games. Soon they heard the sound of a rescue party approaching. They were saved, and they knew that this adventure taught them just how strong their friendships truly were. Approaching cautiously, Sparkle and her friends were greeted warmly by the unicorn. She revealed that she had been expecting them and that she needed their help to rescue her magical rainbow crystal, which had been stolen by an evil wizard. Sparkle and her friends knew what they had to do and set off on a new adventure with their new friend. Despite growing weariness, Sparkle and her friends kept moving forward, hoping to find help. Just when they thought they couldn't go on any longer, they saw a beam of light in the distance. They quickened their pace and soon found themselves in a bustling city filled with friendly creatures. Sparkle and her friends wandered through the desert, exhausted and parched. But just when they thought they couldn't go on, they caught sight of a shimmering lake in the distance. They raced towards it, their spirits lifted at the prospect of relief from the scorching sun. Sparkle and her friends flipped a coin to decide their path, and it landed on heads. They followed the path to a beautiful waterfall where they met a family of rainbow-colored birds. The birds were lost and looking for their home. Sparkle and her friends decided to help them find their way back. As they searched for clues, Sparkle and her friends stumbled upon a riddle etched into the walls of the maze. Working together, they quickly solved it and discovered the exit. They emerged into the sun, laughing and cheering, proud of their teamwork and determination. Pushing through the night, Sparkle and her friends were exhausted but determined. As the sky began to lighten, they saw their destination in the distance. They had made it. They cheered and hugged, grateful for the power of friendship that had carried them through. As they split up, Sparkle's friends quickly became disoriented. They could no longer see each other, and every reflection they saw seemed to lead them further into the maze. Soon they realized that splitting up was a mistake, and they called out to each other, desperately trying to regroup. The stranger gave Sparkle and her friends a map, but warned them of an evil sorcerer who lurked in the area. Undaunted, they set off on their quest. Soon they found the sorcerer, but they didn't know how to defeat him. Sparkle and her friends spotted a plume of smoke rising in the distance. Excited, they hurried towards it, hoping to find signs of civilization. As they drew nearer, they heard the sound of laughter and singing. A festival was underway. They joined in, grateful for the warmth of community. As they split up, Sparkle's friends quickly became disoriented. They could no longer see each other, and every reflection they saw seemed to lead them further into the maze. Soon they realized that splitting up was a mistake, and they called out to each other, desperately trying to regroup. Sparkle and her friends searched the island for shelter and food. They found a cave for protection and a fruit tree for nourishment. With these basic necessities in hand, they set out to explore the island and find a way to signal for help. Splitting up proved to be a mistake. Sparkle and her friends quickly became disoriented and lost in the thick jungle. As they called out for each other, they realized the true treasure was their friendship. They regrouped and decided to approach the search together, hand in hand. Sparkle and her friends launched a flare into the sky, hoping for help. As they waited, their spirits began to sink. But then they heard the sound of a helicopter in the distance. They cheered with joy as they were rescued and airlifted to safety. As they approached, they saw that the stranger was a lost traveller. They offered him food and shelter, and in return he shared stories of his travels. Before departing, the traveller gave them a special talisman, guaranteeing their safe passage on their adventure. Sparkle and her friends were saddened to leave their new friend and adventure behind, but they knew that they had grown from the challenges they faced together. As they trotted off into the distance, they were grateful for the power of friendship and the endless potential for new journeys ahead.